Hi, I'm Steve with Safety Speed Manufacturing here in the Safety Speed demo room, going through our Europa tabletop cutter. The features of the Europa are, again, with all of our rail cutters, is this silicone strips underneath, and that's what's going to hold the material in place. These are also removable strips if they do wear over time. The biggest feature to any rail cutter is that it's cutting on this rail. So instead of cutting freehand, where on a thicker material you can get some waving, this actually is going to be perpendicular to your table for every cut. The other advantage is there's not an exposed blade. It's always facing away from the operator. The way a tabletop cutter works, it would lay on top, and then this rail pulls across, and lining up your cuts. If it's an image, usually there's a crosshair on the corner, you can line that up with the edge of the cutter on both sides, and then make the cut. And now we'll make a couple demonstration cuts, and we'll start with the utility blade, which is most common. So for PVC, magnetic, chloroplast, any softer substrates. So there are 4 different positions. So based on the thickness of your material, the furthest in would be a thin material where you don't want the blade to flex as you push the blade through the material. If it's a thick material, you really have to extend it so it's as far out as it can go, and then that clamps it in place, and you insert it into the cutting head. And it does have a stop there, so we'll just go right to the very end, tighten it back down, and now we're ready to go. So the first one we'll do is just a thin vinyl. And of course, we'd always have a cutting mat underneath this to protect your cutting table. And again, underneath, those strips are what's holding this in place. And my weight here, that cuts right through, nice and quick. And usually you'd line up your crosshairs if there's an image on there with the edge of this cutting rail. Let's go to magnetic next. And again, it's just the pressure that the operator is putting down on to make the cut. So sometimes on a thicker substrate, you do need to make multiple passes. So let's put it right in place there. And again, put my weight on there to hold it down. And then we cut right through, so that's pretty easy. And then let's move on to the next blade is our acrylic scoring blade. I'll pull it out. We use that same holder. Comes off. There's just one position. You go on the very furthest out, mounts into position there. Put the cover on that clamps it into place as it's in the cutting cartridge. Mounts in from the back side, and then push it again all the way to the end, and then lock it in. Here on the acrylic, this is 1/8 inch acrylic, so I'm just going to do one pass this time. The score's on the front. And the key to snapping is putting your 2 thumbs behind. And that snaps it. Nice clean edge there. Textile cutting wheel mounts from the front side. Tighten down. There we go. Do some vinyl again. This would be for cloth. You can do vinyl with it. And again, it's just your pressure holding that down. And those are the 3 cutting options with the Europa. Yeah, if you're interested in more information or videos showing the Europa in action, visit wensco.com or call your Wensco sales rep.